today's draft. Which other players are facing the biggest year of their lives in the NFL? Myles, I give you the first selection.
Well, thank you, Mike. But I'll stay in Chicago and let's go with Justin Fields because this is a really big year for him, right? It's year 3. He is a quarterback, and we know that he's an electrifying offensive player, right? But is he going to be the well-rounded, complete quarterback that the Bears need him to be in order to take the next step as a franchise and as an offense? I mean, can you be a real, true competitor? And we don't really know the answer to that yet. Chase Claypool is going to be a factor in that. I think it's great that they got DJ Moore as a guy who is your lead dog, number 1 receiver. It's pretty clear Chase Claypool ain't that, at least not yet. So can they do what they need to do to surround Justin Fields with the kind of talent that's going to take him to the next level? And has Justin Fields made the strides necessary as a passer to be not just an electrifying runner, but also an electrifying passer? We know he's got arm talent. He's played in big time games and done real big time things before and when he was in college. But can he translate all of that to the NFL level? This is going to be a big year to see if he can.
And, you know, what actually complicates that is the fact that Jalen Hurts did it last year. So many people are like, oh, you just do it. Justin, you just do what Jalen Hurts did. What's wrong with you? Why can't you do what Jalen Hurts did? It actually creates like an expectation that he's this year's Jalen Hurts. I mean, you're already hearing people suggesting that's what's going to happen. And we'll see. I'm surprised, though. Not surprised you went with quarterback. I'm surprised you went with Chicago Bears quarterback and not Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson, because I would submit to you, This is the biggest year of his career. He is 3 years removed from the last time we saw him play at a high level. Last year was a mixed bag. This year, the pressure is on. Now, he's still going to get his full $45 million this year, next year, the year after, and the year after that. But you know what's going to happen if he doesn't play well this year? People are going to get fired, and they're going to reset because they're not getting rid of him. He's going to be there. This is his chance to reestablish himself. No suspension, minimal distractions, although there's still 2 pending civil lawsuits from the issues that are well documented from the past couple of years. But he's either going to do it this year or he's not. I don't think this is oh, wait, give me until 2024. If he's ever going to get back to the guy that he was, he's doing it this year. And if he doesn't do it this year, I think we start to think he's not the guy that he was back in 2020 and prior to that, Myles.
I would agree with you, but I think the thing that's keeping it from being the biggest year of his life is what you mentioned with his salary, right? It's guaranteed. I mean, the biggest year of his life might already be behind him, you know? So when you're going to have that money coming in anyway, it's kind of like, well, yeah, he's not going to get fired, but Kevin Stefanski could. So it's almost bigger for Kevin Stefanski than it is for Deshaun Watson, at least in my mind. That's why he was on my list.
Okay, well, I was curious about that since you're all things Cleveland Browns and they're in my state. I just think Deshaun Watson, even though he's still getting paid, this is about legacy. This is about who you're going to be and how you're going to be remembered. I think he wants to be remembered more like the guy that he was a few years ago. All right, round 2. Who you got?
All right. And I would agree with you on that. Russell Wilson is my next pick because especially now in the wake of these comments from Sean Payton, I mean, this is a huge, huge year for him because if he's not back at the level that we expect Russell Wilson to be, he ain't going to be a Denver Bronco in 2024. I mean, it's going to be expensive to get rid of Russell Wilson, but there are ways that the Broncos are going to be able to do it. And when you look at that offense last year, yeah, we can blame Nathaniel Hackett for a lot of things, but there are also things that you can blame Russell Wilson for. And I go back to times where like it's 3rd down and you're toward the end of the game. And I think this happened against the Raiders. And it's like, if you take a sack, the clock keeps moving. If you throw it away, then it doesn't. And the Raiders don't have to use a timeout. Right. So, and you have to punt, and then that gives them the opportunity to go down the field and score, and you lose. So there are things that as a veteran quarterback who has been starting since 2012, you need to know that. And Russell Wilson didn't execute things like that last year. So if he is going to continue to be a guy in the NFL, a Russell Wilson dude, then he's got to do it this year.
And look, the cap charge that they would take next year, whether they cut him, whether they trade him, that's one thing. The other side of it, though, is there's another $34 million or so that becomes fully guaranteed in March of next year. So that's their opportunity to say, we're not going to give this guy any more money. We're done. It's over. it wasn't just Nathaniel Hackett and the GM and the ownership and everyone else. It was also Russell Wilson. I can't fix him. Sorry, I tried. I can't do it. Give me another quarterback. So I think you're right. If he plays this year like he did last year, it's over for him, and Sean Payton's going to move on to someone else. Right. This one comes up in different contexts. I can't leave it out of this draft, though. We all know this is the most important season for Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins, by way of proving that he can stay healthy. You know, when you talk about Justin Herbert getting his new contract, Joe Burrow getting his, well, who's the guy sandwiched between them who was drafted 5th when Herbert was 6th and Burrow was 1st, and nobody ever says, hey, Tua needs his contract. Nobody's saying it, including Tua. He knows he's not proven himself, and he knows he needs to prove himself by playing like he did last year and by being able to play the whole year. That's the key. He's got the hard part figured out. The easier part, staying on the field, that's where he needs to do his most work.
Exactly. And, you know, it's funny. I mean, I don't necessarily just want to keep going through quarterbacks, at least for my last pick here. As we showed Tua Tagovailoa's injury history, and yeah, it's not good. And it's almost one of those things where you're like, man, I don't want to call him injury prone like a Jimmy Garoppolo, but yes, he kind of is. And that's just kind of the reality. So if he's going to do it, if he's going to stay healthy, this has got to be the year that he does it, because he needs to get that second contract. And the best place to do it for him would be in Miami. But I'd stay in the quarterback realm. I'll go with Jared Goff. Because, look, there are a lot of expectations on Detroit this year, which is not something that we often say at all when it comes to Detroit Lions football. But part of that rests on Jared Goff's right arm. And look, this is a big year for him too, because it's not the last year of his contract, but next year he doesn't have any guaranteed money on that thing. So it's not going to be very hard for Detroit to move on if things don't work out for Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. And I think it will, you know, based on what they were able to do, based on that partnership that he has with Ben Johnson and how well those two have connected as offensive coordinator and quarterback. But when you look at the course of Jared Goff's career, right, how poorly it started, and then it got really good in 17 and 18 with Sean McVay, then takes the steps back in 19 and 20, then goes to Detroit. And now, like the back half of the 22 season, very few players were better than Jared Goff at quarterback. So we'll see if that can translate here into 2023, but this certainly is a big year for him.
Okay, I'm going to go non-quarterback, and we're going to do another round, and you better have a non-quarterback ready for round 4. But you're not getting this non-quarterback because I'm going with Steelers running back Najee Harris for one very important reason. Okay. Even though there is no simple global solution or no difficult global solution or no solution of any kind for the running back market, the one thing you can do as a running back is get your second contract as soon as you possibly can, which is after your third season. And the key is having a big third season, like Christian McCaffrey did, like Ezekiel Elliott did, not like Jonathan Taylor, who missed 6 games due to injury, or Saquon Barkley in his third year, who tore an ACL early in the season. Najee Harris needs to have a great third season, because then that sets the stage for an effort behind the scenes to get a contract. And if he doesn't, a holdout that maybe forces the Steelers to give him what he's looking for. But Harris, year 3, a running back who has the potential to be great. This is the year to be great, because that's how you get paid as a running back in today's NFL.
Well, it's funny. I mean, one of the names that you mentioned is my non-quarterback on my list, and it's Jonathan Taylor, because he does need a very big year, especially considering now Jim Irsay telling Stephen Holder of ESPN that they haven't even offered Jonathan Taylor a second contract yet, right? And part of that is because you had a really good year, first year, elite year in that second year for Jonathan Taylor, but through a lot of different things, right? I mean, you had a coaching staff collapse. You had Jeff Saturday come in there as head coach. You had injuries for Jonathan Taylor last year. Not great year for the third year. So if he's going to get a contract, and if they're not just going to tag him twice and say, we'll see, then you need to have another elite season in 2023 that can make the Colts say, okay, we know that he is indispensable for this offense, especially with a young quarterback like Anthony Richardson.
And, you know, for as ill-advised as Jim Irsay's tweet or X or whatever the hell it's called on Wednesday was about the running back market, he was very smart to have said what he said after Jonathan Taylor reported for camp. Because I just wonder how close Taylor was to holding out. And if Irsay says that before Taylor has to make a final decision, maybe he stays away. All right, I'm going to go back to a quarterback, and I'm going to take the quarterback that I think you probably would have taken if I had let you take a quarterback last round. A former Browns quarterback who has had good year, bad year, good year, lost year due to injury, lost year due to playing for, 5 different teams? I'm exaggerating. Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. First, he's got to win the job, which is no gimme. Right? They're doing everything they can to justify their second-round pick that was invested in Kyle Trask, and they're making it a real competition. And he's got to worry about the possibility that Tommy's going to swoop in once he realizes the world will indeed keep spinning without him playing football, and the games will go on. They're not going to cancel the season because Tommy's not playing, so I guess I'd better play. If he does all that and ends up being the Week 1 starter, this is it. Now or never. It's been 3 years since we saw greatness from Baker Mayfield. This is his chance to get back to it. We'll see if he can pull it off.
Yeah, I wasn't going to pick Baker, but I understand why you would. I mean, look, I think the book is kind of already out there on him, and maybe he'll be good, maybe he doesn't. I mean, the guys that are also on my mind, Jordan Love, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, all those guys, I mean, young quarterbacks that have basically one shot at an opportunity. And if they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. So that's where my mind's at.
Yeah. And look, today's NFL, you could argue that unless you have proven yourself as a true elite player, every year is your most important year, because any given year can be the year where it all goes the other way, because there's always that crop of young guys coming in each and every year. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.